Before there were superpowers, before there were nations, there was one name that made the entire world tremble: Rome. 800 years. That's how long Rome dominated the known world. But it began with almost nothing, a handful of shepherds on a muddy riverbank.
Around 753 BC, Latin tribes settled the 7 hills above the Tiber River in central Italy. There was nothing to suggest they would one day rule the world. According to Roman legend, twin brothers Romulus and Remus were destined to found a city. But destiny would demand one of them die. Romulus killed his brother and became the first king of Rome. The city was born in bloodshed, a foreshadowing of everything to come.
From the beginning, Rome was unusual. Kings ruled, but so did the Senate, a council of elders who believed they had as much right to power as any king.
For over 200 years, Rome was ruled by kings. But the Romans were proud people. They had not fought for this land to kneel before a single man.
Rome's early armies were fierce but small. They fought tribe after tribe, Etruscans, Sabines, Latins, slowly expanding their dominion one bloody battle at a time.
The she-wolf who suckled the infant twins became Rome's eternal symbol, the savage mother who gave birth to civilization. War was Rome's language, and they were becoming fluent.
In 509 BC, the Romans made a decision that would define them for centuries. They expelled their last king and declared themselves a republic.
The Roman legion, the most terrifying military machine the ancient world had ever seen. Disciplined, adaptable, and utterly remorseless.
SPQR, Senatus Populusque Romanus, the Senate and the people of Rome. A new experiment in government had begun. But the Republic had a fatal flaw. Its politics were savage. Rich patricians versus common plebeians, the struggle for power never truly stopped.
Then came a catastrophe no Roman could have imagined. In 390 BC, a barbarian tribe from the north, the Gauls, smashed through Rome's defenses. The Gauls burned Rome to the ground. It was the greatest shock Rome had ever experienced, and it would never forget the humiliation.
But Rome didn't surrender. It rebuilt, and it made a promise to itself. This would never happen again, ever.
Over the next 2 centuries, Rome conquered all of Italy, city by city, tribe by tribe, until there was no question who ruled the peninsula.
But Italy wasn't enough. Across the Mediterranean, a rival power was growing: Carthage. The first of 3 Punic Wars would determine who ruled the sea. Then came the greatest military genius Rome would ever face. Hannibal Barca of Carthage marched his army, including war elephants, over the Alps in winter. Nobody thought it was possible. At the Battle of Cannae in 216 BC, Hannibal executed the most perfect military maneuver in history. He surrounded and destroyed a Roman army of 70,000 men in a single afternoon. By nightfall, 50,000 Romans lay dead on that field. It remains the bloodiest day in Roman history. And yet, Rome refused to surrender.
When a delegation arrived to discuss peace terms, the Senate's answer was 3 words: Rome does not negotiate. Hannibal had never met anyone like this.
Rome found its answer to Hannibal, a young general who would carry the war to Africa itself. Scipio Africanus, the man who ended the Second Punic War.
At the Battle of Zama in 202 BC, Scipio turned Hannibal's own tactics against him and destroyed the Carthaginian army. Rome had won the world.
In 146 BC, Rome destroyed Carthage completely, salted the earth so nothing would grow again. The message to the world was unmistakable: cross Rome, and you cease to exist.
The Roman triumph, the greatest honor a general could receive. A parade through Rome's streets, with the conquered world on display.
By 100 BC, Rome was the largest city on Earth, home to over 1 million people. A city of marble and power, ambition and contradiction. Behind every victory was the Roman soldier, the legionnaire, a professional warrior who signed up for 20 years of service, who would march 20 miles a day, who would fight and die for Rome without question.
But Rome's wealth was built on slavery, and in 73 BC, the slaves fought back.
A gladiator named Spartacus raised an army of 70,000 and terrified the Republic.
But it was one soldier who would change Rome forever. Julius Caesar, commander, politician, genius, was about to make Rome his personal empire.
When the revolt was crushed, 6,000 survivors were crucified along the Appian Way, stretching 60 miles from Capua to Rome. A warning to every slave who might dream of freedom.
In 8 years of Gallic Wars, Caesar conquered all of modern France, adding 800,000 square miles to Rome. His commentaries on the wars are still studied by military academies today.
In 49 BC, Caesar stood at the Rubicon River, the legal boundary of his command. To cross meant civil war. He crossed. He said, "The die is cast." For 4 years, Romans fought Romans, father against son, legion against legion. The Republic, which had survived 450 years, was consuming itself. March 15th, 44 BC, the Ides of March. Julius Caesar was stabbed 23 times in the Senate by men he trusted. Rome's greatest man, murdered by the Republic he had conquered. When the news reached the city, Rome erupted. The conspirators fled for their lives. Caesar's death had not saved the Republic, it had killed it.
Mark Antony read Caesar's will to the crowd. He left his personal gardens to the people of Rome, left money to every citizen. The crowd turned on the assassins with blind fury.
The final act of the Roman Republic came at sea. In 31 BC at the Battle of Actium, Octavian's forces met the combined fleet of Mark Antony and Cleopatra. When it was over, Octavian stood alone, the last man standing after a century of civil war. The Republic was dead. A new age was about to begin. In 27 BC, the Senate granted Octavian the title Augustus, the revered one. The Roman Empire had begun, and it would last another 500 years.
Rome had built the most sophisticated urban civilization on Earth. Running water, sewage systems, public baths, free bread, entertainment. The world had never seen anything like it.
The Colosseum, symbol of Roman excess and Roman genius simultaneously. Built in just 8 years, seating 50,000 spectators, it hosted games, executions, and battles, all in the name of keeping the mob entertained.
Bread and circuses, that was Rome's formula for social control. Keep the masses fed and entertained, and they would never question who held the real power.
But Rome's true genius was not war, it was engineering. They built 50,000 miles of paved roads, many of which survive today. All roads led to Rome, literally.
Their aqueducts carried millions of gallons of fresh water into cities every day. Some still function today, 2,000 years later. Roman concrete is still harder than anything we can produce.
Hadrian's Wall in Britain, the northern edge of the world. Rome drew a line and said, everything on this side is civilization, everything beyond it is not.
But Rome's greatest weakness was its succession problem. With no clear rules on who came next, every emperor's death became a potential crisis. Caligula, possibly the most sadistic ruler in Roman history, was assassinated by his own guards.
His successor Nero was equally catastrophic. He executed his own mother. He performed publicly like an entertainer. He blamed Christians for the Great Fire of Rome, which some believed he himself set.
The Great Fire of 64 AD burned for 6 days and 7 nights. 10 of Rome's 14 districts were destroyed. When it was finally out, the city that had survived Hannibal and the Gauls lay in ruins.
In 70 AD, Rome crushed the Jewish revolt in Judea. General Titus destroyed Jerusalem, and with it, the second temple of the Jews. 1 million people died.
It was one of the most catastrophic moments in human history. The Temple Mount in Jerusalem has never been rebuilt. The memory of its destruction is still observed by Jewish people around the world today.
Titus returned to Rome in triumph. The Arch of Titus was built to commemorate the victory. Today, it still stands in the Roman Forum. The menorah depicted on it became an inspiration for the symbol of the modern state of Israel.
Under Emperor Trajan, Rome reached its absolute maximum size. His campaigns against the Dacians, modern Romania, are recorded in a spiral frieze on his column, a monument to Roman military genius.
Under Trajan in 117 AD, the Roman Empire covered 5 million square kilometers. Population, 70 million people. 1/4 of all humanity lived under Roman rule.
Rome's empire was the most diverse the world had ever seen. Egyptians, Syrians, Gauls, Britons, Africans, all Roman citizens, all trading, all connected by those roads and the Latin language.
The Pantheon, built by Hadrian in 125 AD, is still the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the world. They don't know exactly how they built it. We can't fully replicate it today.
For all its brutality, Rome was also extraordinarily advanced. Their medical knowledge, influenced by Greek physicians, included surgery, pain management, and field medicine that wouldn't be surpassed for over 1,000 years.
Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, during the day he fought endless wars on the Germanic frontier. At night he broke the searchiness for virtue that peoples adulterated today. any words.
But beyond the frontier, the pressure was building. Germanic tribes, the Goths, Vandals, Franks, were being pushed westward by even more terrifying forces from the east. Rome's borders would not hold forever.
Rome had always dealt with barbarian raids, but now something different was happening. Entire nations, hundreds of thousands of people were moving, and they had nowhere else to go.
The Marcomannic Wars consumed the final years of Marcus Aurelius's reign. He would spend 13 of his 19 years as emperor on campaign and die on the frontier, never returning to Rome. After Marcus Aurelius came the crisis. In the 3rd century AD, Rome had 5 emperors in a single year, and over the next 50 years, more than 50 emperors would rule. The empire was eating itself alive.
Civil war became permanent. Plague decimated the population. The economy collapsed. The roads, that miracle of Roman engineering, fell into disrepair. The world Rome had built was unraveling. Emperor Diocletian made a desperate decision. He split the empire in two, an Eastern emperor and a Western emperor. The logic was sound. The consequences were catastrophic. For the Battle of Milvian Bridge, Constantine reportedly saw a cross in the sky with the words, "In this sign, conquer." Whether vision or propaganda, it changed the Western world forever.
Constantine became the first Christian emperor of Rome. He would go on to found a new capital, Constantinople, which would outlast Rome itself by nearly 1,000 years.
At the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, Constantine gathered 300 bishops to settle Christian doctrine. The Nicene Creed, still recited by over 1 billion Christians today, was written in this room. Constantinople, the new Rome. Built on the crossroads of Europe and Asia, protected by water on 3 sides, it was everything the old Rome was not. Planned, defensible, magnificent from its first stone. The Hagia Sophia, to be completed under Justinian, would become the greatest building in the world for nearly 1,000 years. A symbol of what the Eastern Roman Empire could still achieve. The Visigoths had been inside Roman territory for decades, invited in as refugees, treated as servants. When Rome broke its promises to them, they turned. Led by Alaric, they marched south. August 24th, 410 AD. For the first time in 800 years, a foreign enemy walked the streets of Rome. The Eternal City had fallen. When the news reached St. Jerome in Bethlehem, he wrote, "The world has collapsed." Then came the most feared man in the world, Attila the Hun, the scourge of God. His empire stretched from the Rhine to the steppes of Central Asia. Entire cities emptied at the mere rumor of his approach. In 451 AD, a Roman general named Aetius, the last of the Romans, allied with the Visigoths and stopped Attila. It was Rome's final great military victory, but it was too late to matter. In 455 AD, the Vandals sacked Rome for 14 days. They were so thorough in their destruction that their name became a word, vandalism. Rome had now been sacked twice in 45 years. In 476 AD, a 16-year-old boy sat on the throne of the Western Roman Empire. As one final bitter irony of history was Romulus, Buscistolus, named after Rome's founder and Rome's great emperor.
A Germanic chieftain named Odofer walked into the throne room and told the boy to get up. Romulus handed over his crown without resistance. The Western Roman Empire was over. 800 years of Roman history ended with a shrug. But Rome was not truly dead. In the east, Constantinople, the new Rome, would continue the Roman Empire for another 1,000 years. We call it the Byzantine Empire. They called themselves Romans.
Edward Gibbon stood in the ruins of the Roman Forum in 1764, watching monks sing in a church built from the bones of a temple, inspired him to spend 20 years writing the history of decline and fall of the Roman Empire. The question he asked still haunts us. Rome didn't entirely disappear. In monasteries across Europe, monks copied Roman law, philosophy, architecture, and history. When the Renaissance came 800 years later, they would open those manuscripts and the West would find itself again.
Rome's legacy is everywhere. The US Capitol, the British Parliament, the Louvre, all built in conscious imitation of Roman architecture. Roman law is the foundation of legal systems across Europe, Latin America, and beyond.
Rome fell. But did it? Its language became French, Spanish, Italian, spoken 1 billion people. Stamped the group every inhabitant of it Rome didn't fall. It did the same swarm became this square where it same seabird at.